All right, guys, it's Copper Cutlass. What's up, man? And so we got an Oldsmobile, a Chevy, and a Ford. Sounds like a punchline to a bad joke, but we got the 427 home. Gotta get that up on an engine stand and take it apart. I got the 350 Olds with the J heads on it. Obviously, if you guys have been following long enough, you know that that's the engine that we hurt where the wrist pin walked out. We found the limitations of, press fit pins. But it's been sleeved and bored and all that stuff. And there's actually somebody interested in that engine. So I'm going to get it fired up on the engine stand, which I brought home. I think if you guys watch my shorts, you guys see that I've been messing with a 383 Mopar. There's a 69 Plymouth that my boss owns that I'm kind of putting together and making it a runner, kind of a pro street deal. It was kind of an older project that somebody sold, and I'm kind of picking up the pieces and getting that car kind of squared away. And then we got the 347 that has been on the back burner for a long time. That is a friend of mine, and we need some pieces. So if there's anybody out there that's a Ford guy, we need like a water neck, some cheap tall valve covers, and just like random stuff. Other than that, this engine's like ready to go, and that's probably next on my list to fire up because I really need to get that engine up for my buddy. So let's talk about the 427. So one of the biggest things about the 427 and why it appealed to me is because of its big bore and short stroke combination. I'm used to working with that type of combination, just like the Oldsmobile. It's a big bore, short stroke. So I kind of know what to expect with the characteristics of the engine, if that makes sense. But I'm not a professional engine builder, but I know that based off of the engines that I have built over the years around the 350 Olds, I kind of know what to expect a little bit. And I know that there's a lot more to it, but for the sake of ease, and also the fact that the 427 is just a cool engine, and it is a legit 427 passenger, 335 horse, 427 with 063 heads. It's just cool. Plus, a lot of people on Yellow Bullet have told me that the 063 small chamber oval ports will support the kind of power that we're looking to make. I mean, I'm not looking to set the world on fire, and really considering my gear, I probably should not be exceeding like 500 horsepower. I'm going to start breaking stuff, and I really should probably build this conservatively because I do need to kind of keep in mind that our limitations are like even though we have a beefy 10 bolt in the back with Moser axles, a spool, big Ford ends, and all that shit, and that's the transmission that's going to go in with the big block is the beefy Turbo 350 with the Ultra Bell and a 5,000 stall. That's my $3,000 paperweight setup right there. Keep joking about, but we were saving that for this. But this transmission hasn't given out on us, so we haven't needed it, and it's just been there for almost 3 years now. So, but the people on Yellow Bullet have been really helpful, and if any of you guys are following along, thank you for any of the information. I really appreciate it. Those guys have been really, really good in enlightening me and how actually easy it is to make power. And it's a reminder that it's a lot harder to make power with an Oldsmobile and, with iron heads and that stuff, and even with aluminum heads. And I won't argue it. The biggest problem with the Oldsmobile is that you're going to tax the head. They don't have a good head, period. And I don't care who you are, the head is the biggest hurdle with an Oldsmobile. You can have all the cubic inches you want, but you're not gonna be able to fill the cylinder efficiently. And it's like we got these Merlin heads over here. If my wife comes over here for a little bit, we got these big badass Merlin 043 heads that are just really killer. They got some nice, pieces, titanium, parts in them, and it's just, the reality is, the insight I've been giving is that this is just not for me. But these are my machinist's cylinder heads, and he doesn't do the cylinder head work, but my good friend Dave Meyer, who, if you guys go back, we did that big video with all the head flow numbers with like the J heads the small block heads and the Edelbrock heads, he's my cylinder head guy. He's my go-to guy for cylinder heads, and I'm still going to have those heads checked, flowed, in good faith, because, you know, obviously my machinist said I can use this shop to build my engine, and he was going to, you know, I do have a background in machining, even though it's not automotive, but he's like, you know, running the machines is easy. If you know how to tolerances, then you shouldn't have a problem. And I used to have to hold tolerances, so I should be good. Maybe, I don't know, we'll find out. But he is going to let me use his shop, so in good faith, I am going to have those heads checked anyway, and that's going to be, you know, a couple of bucks between friends that, you know, it goes a long way. So not worried about that. But at this point, I don't think those heads are going to work for me, but I am going to have them checked anyway and flowed, and I'll fill you guys in on what that is when that time comes. And maybe we'll do another cylinder head video with my buddy Dave, because, you know, we are going to have to work on 063 heads, and I plan on doing just maybe like some bulwarks, some big valves. And it's pretty much all it should take to make about 500 horsepower. Looking at information from like just random, it's like you need like 250-ish CFM to make about 500 horsepower with a big block Chevy. And we're just going to do a solid roller cam, like 10-to-1 compression, just, you know, healthy combo. And we have to take into consideration that we have to do motor mounts, headers, and some other items to get everything going. And for all the people out there that are like kind of pissed off because I haven't, you know, I'm changing from Oldsmobile, it's like, well, what else do you guys want to see? I'm like, I can do a Stroker Olds, but the money and the cost versus, it's just not there. And my angle of work is in these low budget engines that I've been able to wring a lot of power out of. Like, you know, they're bare bones basic bullshit, and like, you know, stock rod, stock crank in this fucking pile of shit over here that we bracket race, and we've gone 1140s with it, spinning it to 7,500 RPM. So we've pushed the limits and shown the limits of what we can do with the small block Odes on a very limited budget. And I think I have enough content to where you guys really can't be mad at me. I just want to do something different. I mean, you can bang your wife a missionary for 20 years, but eventually you got to flip her over and do her doggy at some point in your life. You can't stick to one thing forever. You got to do something else, but you're not going to get rid of it altogether, right? So I don't know how you guys feel about that. I know what you do with your wives, but that's the logic that I'm going to use, and I'm sorry. But anyway, we got that going on, and I'm pretty excited about it, just to get it on the stand, and hopefully when we get it apart, it looks good, because this engine did have a wiped out cam lobe. I actually built the replacement engine for this. I built a 468 Chevy, very basic, nothing crazy, and it hauls ass in a 69 Impala. I wish I could take that car down the track, because for a big heavy tank, that thing would probably run like a low 13s. It hauls like fucking mail. And obviously, you guys know I've built other things. I've done Ford engines. I've done, you know, I helped my buddy with his 351 Windsor and his 4R70W transmission, and it's just time for me to do something. And that's actually the catalyst, is my buddy's 351 Windsor. He's gone 11.0s. He will go 10s in the fall. But that car runs 11.0s in the heat, man. Fuck, that's impressive with a 351 Windsor on a low buck, mild roller cam setup. Obviously, it's in a Fox body. It's a little light, but you know what? It's still very impressive. And my car's pretty light. It's about, you know, 3,000 pounds without me in it. Less than 3,000 pounds, because I'm about 210. Car, last time we scaled it, was like 3185 with me in it approximately. So, you know, we do have to worry about adding about 200 pounds of nose too. But, you know, as you guys can see, the static ride height of the car is actually somewhat a little bit tall in the front, kind of stockish. So 200 pounds on the front end. Let's see how that looks. This is probably the worst comparison I can do, but it's 200 pounds right there. Ooh, that fender. Oil cans. Damn, I stretched it right on my face that bitch. But that's about 200 pounds on the nose. So not worried about having to change too much on the suspension, but we are going to have to probably cage the car at some point. And you know, maybe it'll be next year where we race the Pontiac again, and we're really going to focus on making this car really, really good, because some of the best things that I ever got out of this car is when I put it down for a lengthy amount of time, usually like a year, 6 months, 7 months, something like that. And going over to Chevy Power is going to be a whole different ballpark, but I'm willing to do it because it's easy to make power and it's different. We're not going with the 454. We're not going with super crazy cubic inches. I'm smart enough to not go with a 396. Not that it's bad, but the 427 just has its appeal to me because of the big bore short stroke. I know it's going to work for our needs. It has to spin to 7,000 RPM because of the gear that we have, and we are working with our combination in mind. So thanks to the guys on Yellow Bullet who've really given me a wealth of information, and just thanks, guys. Share, like, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram as Copper Cutlass, and we'll see you guys around.